How long gone? Super Tuesday. It's been a rough 24 hours for me, but I am perched on the 24th floor of the Ritz-Carlton, so I have a nice view of Atlanta, Georgia, even though that's not what I want right now. Jason, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. It's a great Liberation Day. Ready to wake up. I mean, we're recording this Tuesday, April Fool's Day, but there's nothing foolish about what's going on today in the news, I'm assuming. I don't know yet. I mean, anything can happen. I'm sorry that you're going through some local travel trouble. So you're coming back from El Paso by way of Marfa to NYC, stuck in Atlanta, Delta's hub, and then 5-hour delay, only to learn that it has eventually been canceled. Okay, did you?
That's right.
I mean, where do we begin? Did you?
Well, the real cherry on top is that the day starts with a 3-hour drive from Marfa to El Paso.
Right.
And
okay. So
you know what I mean?
That's just long enough to where that is the trip.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. That's a great way to look at it. We were able to go to a Barnes and Noble in El Paso to get Alex a book because she had finished hers on the trip, and see the sights. But the flight from El Paso to Atlanta was maybe the worst crowd I've ever had on an airplane in my life. But we made it to Atlanta. There was a 5-hour delay around, I would say, 11:45. They called it. I got on booking.com. This is not a joke. I got on booking.yeah. Ritz-Carlton was a good price, and I was like, I need this right now. I can't go to an airport hotel. And then I'm glad I did, because I got on the phone with Delta when we got here, and they were basically, because of our recording schedule and a few other work things, I can't get back till Wednesday morning. So
crazy.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, we could have left at like 4, but like it just didn't work. You know what I mean? So anyway, here we are. And I'm honestly, this morning I was having a fucking meltdown because it's a long story. But now, you know.
Wait, you were having a meltdown?
Honestly, dude, I don't do it that much anymore. But like I went downstairs because I booked the room for one night on booking.com. And when I was checking in, I was like, hey, if the flight thing doesn't work out, I'm going to need to extend. And they were like, oh yeah, no problem. Just come down and extend. I go down to extend. They're like, "Oh yeah, we don't have anything." You know what I mean? And I was like, "But you literally." So anyway, I had to have some words with the front desk staff. They were able to sort it out. But it was a real.
I mean, that's the problem when all that you had to do to fix this impossible problem is to just yell, and then magically it happens. I mean, it really is a bummer. I'm sure you weren't, disrespecting them, but rightfully so. There's a classic Seinfeld episode about it at the car rental,
of course,
where I don't think you know how reservations work. That kind of thing.
Sure. I actually have learned and mellowed in my old age to realize that charm and kindness will get you further than anger in these situations, which is a hard thing for me to learn because obviously my default is anger. But I am.
Is that the TJ effect?
I wouldn't say that. I would say
not no though, right? Eerily.
No, not no. But it's I think it's more aging and
just age
and also experience to know like, well, I've done both and this one works and the other one doesn't. So if I can control myself,
you've been beaten into submission.
At least I'm gonna be able to get.
And I like to watch.
I'm gonna be able to get a haircut for my boy Chad. And then get Elmire and then hit the road. It could be worse. We could be stuck somewhere awful. You know what I mean? El Paso.
Could be worse, Chris. My barber is currently in the hospital right now, so he's not cutting anything.
What happened? Did he get hurt fighting for Rilo Kiley tickets, or is he good?
I did not ask exactly what his ailment was.
You didn't ask. You're telling me you hit your barber saying, "Can I come in at 3?" And he's like, "Bro, I'm in the hospital." And you just left it at that?
No. I mean, we continued the convo, but I didn't ask for his chart.
Oh, I'm asking for the charts. I'm asking for what are you in for, Chief? I need to know what you're in for.
Okay, he said, "Brother, you're not going to believe this. I'm in the hospital. I'll be here for a few days." And then he sent me a selfie of him.
Okay, nice.
In the hospital. He's got the IV in his arm, and I'm sure we're running tests. And then I said, let me know if I can help out with anything outside of the hospital bill, and that was it. I don't want to pry because people's injuries might be personal, private, and embarrassing. I'm not saying
that's exactly why you ask. For those 3 words you just mentioned.
I got a crescent wrench stuck up my ass.
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, that's the thing. I don't. I'm sure it's something less nefarious, probably like an appendix or maybe something like that. Stones of some kind. But pray for him.
Autoimmune disease. Yeah, hopefully it's a kidney stone.
So what? You're just gonna wait it out. You don't need a haircut urgently enough, right?
Well, I'm right on that borderline because my hair right now on the sides and the back, it could use a little tidying up, especially since we're going to be on camera talent in just a few days with a friend of the show, Bon Iver.
Oh yeah, shit.
But
yeah, I forgot about that.
what's happening on top is a real 2003 Brad Pitt kind of, perfectly bedheady, mussy fussy. How did she do it type of style, and I think I'm just gonna have to ride this wave for a little bit and see what happens.
Okay, but so you're saying,
I mean, compared to you and Justin, I'll still have the best hair in the room. It's not like
sure, it's not that bad.
It's not a race to the top. I'm already here in the wiener circle, but it's just for me, right?
I understand that. And also, I mean, if your barber, if he's not up to 100%, he might fuck something up. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't wish that on you or him. But if my man is still recovering, he could be weak.
I don't want the straight rares on my neck while his shingles are kicking in again. Right?
That's exactly. Yes, that's exactly.
That's just my polio arm acting up.
That's absolutely the fear that I have personally.
Well, I think before our guest here, we should talk a little bit about Morgan Wallen gate. It seems like the little thing that we were talking about on the last episode has sort of erupted into a political discourse.
You know why, Jason? You know why that is, Jason? Do you know why that is? It's because the public,
I know.
The public at large is full of fucking idiots. Like, I don't think that Morgan Wallen I think Morgan Wallen wanted to leave and didn't know where to go and walked the way that was in front of him. Mm-hmm. That's truly what I think. I don't think Morgan Wallen is smart enough to hatch a diabolical plan to not hug Bo and Yang out of protest and head to the private jet. I just don't believe it. I don't know if you do. I don't believe it.
I think the truth could be somewhere in the middle because it feels a little hard to believe that so this means that he has never seen an episode of SNL. He doesn't, and there weren't 5,000 line producers telling him exactly what's going to happen at any given moment. I think it was intentional, but I also don't think it was like any type of like political act. It wasn't like he wasn't
a protest,
deoccupying Wall Street. It was just like
deoccupying 8H.
He was not deoccupying the SNL stage.
I got served some video of like an SNL podcast that were these three dorks saying he should be banned for like just going crazy about it and like disrespecting the institution.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, like I just don't think it's that big of a deal. Like I mean I think it's funny, of course, because then he obviously posted the picture of the private jet and said, "Get me back to God's country," which is genius and spawned a million memes. So once again, Morgan Wallen wins. You know what I'm saying? Like he's still, I don't think there's a downside for him personally.
Well, I would say that the downside is that he looks like a stolen valor, false country boy. If it's so urgent for him to get back to God's country, which we're assuming is the American South, his homeland,
Tennessee,
which means that he's in, being in New York.
Well, hey, look, Jason.
The devil's playground. If it's the inverse of God's country.
Sometimes our jobs take us to places we don't want to go. You know what I mean? That's just what it is. And
well, if you're a real cowboy, you do what you want.
Hey man,
that's all I'm saying.
Let me tell you something about cowboys in 2025. Real cowboys do what Hollywood wants. And that's
okay.
I think.
I'm saying don't act like a real cowboy if you do that, and then. I mean, he chose to be on SNL unless he really did make a deal with the devil. So he chose to fly on his private jet, also a tool of the devil, into New York, the devil's playground, Hell's Kitchen. He's a devout follower of God. He's a big church guy.
I don't know about all that.
He's thanking God. He's a fucking Christian.
Everybody thanks
Jesus
God.
Freak country boy.
That's nothing.
So rule number 1 in church: don't go to where the devil hangs out every day. On the devil's flying tool.
Hey man, most people aren't trying to get a number 1, and that's the thing that will drive you to do things that you may not want to do.
Yeah, but what the one takeaway that I thought was funny, which is the chances of this happening are very, very low, but it was it reminded me of when you see like a like a rapper, like a Tekashi 6ix9ine show up in Chicago, and he's like, I'm on your block, and where are you, kind of thing, like showing up onto your rival turf. So it's like, and then he's like, hey, get me out of here. So he's showing up on the rival's turf, the devil's playground of New York City.
You've really thought about this. I don't think any of this applies. I think that he's drunk and wanted to leave, but I do think it was intentional. I just
love the cowboy energy of this guy who's like, get me the heck out of here. All right. Anyway.
Yeah.
We have a guest today.
We do have a guest today. Jake Tapper is joining us. I believe we're both in Atlanta, actually. But he has a couple books coming out. He's got a new show. He's on your TV every night. Thank you for joining us. Jake, what's good?
Good to meet you guys.
Hey, you too, man. Are you in fact in Atlanta?
I am not. I didn't want to embarrass you. I'm in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
Chris, why did you think that he would be in Atlanta?
Well, that's where CNN's headquarters.
Yeah, and I'm just down the street because I got stranded here last night at Hartsfield-Jackson, so I'm literally down the street from CNN in a hotel. So pray for me, Jake.
I've only been to the CNN Atlanta headquarters once, and that's when we did the presidential debate last year. I am praying for you. I don't want to dismiss the prayers.
All right.
Okay, so how long have you worked for CNN for? And though you've been one time?
I have worked for CNN since 2013, and I've been to the Atlanta headquarters once.
Wow.
How did you pull that?
That's hashtag work from home energy, baby. I like that.
How did you pull that off? You just told them I ain't doing all that, and they were like, yes, sir?
Well, I'm at they hired me in the DC bureau, so there's really no reason.
Technically. I thought maybe you would want to come in and fraternize with your coworkers, etc. But you get enough of that, I guess.
It's not that I don't want to. It's just, I'm pretty busy. And when I got hired, that was right at the time that the brand new head of CNN, Jeff Zucker, was moving the headquarters from Atlanta to New York City. So I've been to New York City a bunch of times, the CNN bureau there, but just never. Are you enjoying Atlanta? Are you enjoying?
I'm from here originally. So yeah, it's a fine place to be stranded, and the weather, it's beautiful outside. Yeah. It's all good.
You're
it's
on
all
Peachtree
good.
Street and
exactly
and
right.
Peach Lane. Yeah,
I've got a beautiful view of the Hard Rock Cafe. It's really, life is good, man. It doesn't get better than this.
Somehow you're in 1986, but okay, that's good.
Downtown Atlanta kind of is 1986. That's what's funny. You know how certain downtowns of major cities,
Planet Hollywood.
Yeah,
I got it. Benihana.
Exactly. They just don't progress past that because they don't need to.
Well, maybe there's no need. It was just so perfect.
Why
change?
Why change?
In Atlanta, they're like, this is good.
Progress is not always, not always good.
I agree. Progress can go both ways. Progress can go both ways. All right, so you're in D.C. You live in D.C.
I live in Washington, D.C., yeah.
Okay, but you Virginia or like D.C.?
D.C.
Okay,
D.C.,
all right,
baby. I keep it real.
Okay, I want to be clear.
The city of Washington, D.C., yes.
Have you visited any of Keith McNally's new restaurants, is the question. Have you been to the Minetta Tavern, D.C.?
No.
Oh, we got to get you in there.
Seems like a good place to get a political scoop.
I'd love to be invited to any of these places. I will say that
they're open to the public.
I married a homebody. I married somebody who likes to be home or like within a couple minutes.
I was worried you were going to say I married a vegan, but okay,
homebody. No,
Okay, homebody. So your wife doesn't like to paint the town red.
No, she likes to paint the block. Peach.
Okay.
Sure.
So walking
shade.
the dog around the neighborhood is
three
as far
dogs.
as we're going to go.
Yes, walking three dogs around the neighborhood. And there are a couple restaurants near us that we go to.
Okay.
Do you think your wife has amassed this small farmhouse collection of animals because it makes it easier for her to stay home and not leave anywhere? It's a good excuse, right?
I think you are, if you don't have a degree in psychotherapy, then you should have one. Yes, I think that is.
Well, what are we going to do about the cat? We can't go to Fuddruckers.
We also have
you have a cat.
That's we also just got a cat. We have 3 dogs and a cat, and I think part of it is that our oldest is going to college in the fall. So there's a little preemptive empty nest filling the hole. And part of it is, like we can't go. We have 3 dogs and a cat. Why would we? And a son. I also have another kid. But he needs us less than the dogs and the cat.
But so you're telling me Tapper has to pick up shit on the ground?
Oh no.
Okay, I didn't think so. And that's because we can't see. If I caught you doing that, I would be bummed. I couldn't take you as seriously when you're reporting.
I carry the poop. No, I carry the poop bags, but I hand them to my wife.
I see what you're a gentleman. You're a gentleman.
I carried the poop bags. I mean, I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I mean.
That's how the
that's what
hierarchy
etiquette
works.
requires.
My wife and I, she carries, she holds the leashes, but I have to do the picking up.
Okay.
It's tough. But my wife was staying at the Carlisle Hotel in New York yesterday, and she overheard some old kind of Chanel wearing ladies there discussing how the weather is not looking so good, so they'll have somebody walk the dogs for them. Like at that hotel, you can just call down to the front desk and be like, "Can you just walk my dog, please? It doesn't. I'm not really into the weather right now." And that to me is real living.
But I have to say also, this is, if you like pets, that is a great racket. Dog walker.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah.
You kind of set your own hours. If you like dogs, it's fun. We have a dog walker. He's not the only one that walks them, but just because we have 2 giant dogs,
Right.
and they're puppies. We have 2 Bernedoodles and they're puppies. So if they don't get,
they got to get worked.
They do. They think that they are like little baby puppies, but they are the size of horses. And so if they don't get regular exercise, then it's insanity.
What's the price tag on adopting one of these Bernedoodles from South Korea, my friend? How much is that going to set you back?
We only buy American dogs, but I will say,
hell yeah.
Well, now with the tariffs looming in the future, you're going to have to outsource in Boulder or something, right?
That's an interesting thing. I wonder if he ever thought about imposing tariffs on foreign dogs.
You know, a lot of presidents have had like famous pets.
Yeah.
You know, Trump doesn't seem like a pet guy. And it takes one to know one. I hate pets too, so I kind of
do?
More of a prostitute guy.
I
just don't understand.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. There was a glitch. There's a glitch.
I don't understand.
You don't have to comment on any of this.
I don't understand the responsibility of pet. Like, I just don't get it. Like, I just don't. I don't have it in me to do that. The thought of having to limit my social schedule.
You're young.
No, I'm 42. I look very young, but I'm 42.
You're 42. Do you have a wife and kids?
I have a wife. Yeah.
No kids.
Okay. She would probably like a dog, but like, I live in New York. It's disgusting.
All right. I mean, look, I have a lot of friends like you, so I'm not going to argue about it. I just, it's just, first of all, like, I am not the purchaser or the adopter of the pets. I am.
But you're a guy. You go with the flow at home. If everybody wants it, you're like, fuck it, let's do it.
I will tell you that one of the lessons that I give young men getting married is surrender, Dorothy.
Okay.
You know, that's from the Wizard of Oz. It's from the Wizard of Oz. It just means happy wife, happy life. That's it. You know, if she wants dogs, get dogs.
My therapist would argue that is unhealthy. It should not be happy wife, happy life, because then what about baby Jake? Baby Jake, not happy. And you got to put your mask on first before you put on your others. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's true.
I just,
we're past that now.
I'm great, and it's fine. I think the point is you don't pick. You only really need to stake your ground on stuff that really, really, really matters, and everything else is nonsense.
That's true. I mean, I agree. Yeah. I agree with you on that. I agree with you on that. But for some reason, a pet is that level for me.
Okay,
it's a compromise. You get the pet that I don't want. Then when I want to get a car that you think is stupid, maybe
there you go.
Maybe that door will swing the other way. Yeah,
exactly.
So do you have any stupid cars, Jake?
I do. I do have a stupid car. I have a normal electric vehicle, BMW, kind of newish, and then this is really dumb. So years ago, I thought to myself, you know what I really would be like a convertible SUV. Why don't they make convertible SUVs? Because I would like a convertible when it's nice out. DC in the spring and fall, nothing better. Mm-hmm. But then I don't want to have to deal with like skidding all over the place in the winter. I like an SUV. And car manufacturers will make convertible SUVs. Like every 5 years, somebody will try to make one. And there are 3,000 idiots like me who will immediately buy it. But I'm not talking about a Jeep. I don't want to.
Yeah, most of them live in Miami.
You're
Jake.
talking about like when Range Rover did the Evoque.
Yes.
Okay.
Evoque. That's what I have.
The Evoque?
That is what I have. I have an Evoque.
You've got the convertible Evoque.
It's so nice.
2016.
It's so nice to finally meet an Evoque owner. It's really nice because I've seen them.
Well, except you know, do you know John King from CNN? He's also an Evoque owner.
Wow.
I guess we're having the midlife crisis at the same time.
That's a very okay. Is it a regular color, or did you go like cherry red? Okay,
no, black.
All right. And how often do you think you're dropping the top on that bad boy?
I only drive it
if you can.
if I'm dropping the top, and it is so it's a few times in the spring and a few times in the fall ride, but they stopped making them. So
well, there's a reason for that.
Wonder why.
What is the reason? It is. Have you ever driven a convertible SUV? I'm telling you, it is.
Now that you say that, no, but I was hoping you were going to say either vintage Bronco that you had chopped or PT Cruiser.
That PT Cruiser.
You know what I mean?
Well, a lot of people will have
It's like a
custom. No shade, but the Range Rover Evoque is the Miata of their fleet, I would say.
I thought that's what you're thinking.
That's what you're thinking.
That's what you're thinking.
It's true. Well, I was actually in a commercial for the Range Rover Evoque. I got to drive it around LA for a couple days. It was amazing.
Is that true?
Yeah, that is
true.
Fun, right?
That is true.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it.
LA is a perfect place to drive a convertible because it's just nice enough and not too hot.
Let me say this as a convertible owner in LA. I will say that it's really dusk and morning. Is really because midday, if you take the top down, the sun is too
beating down upon.
I've learned my lesson. I've gotten some weird tan lines, a lot of sweat. I've had to
Especially
learn
with that bald head of yours.
I had to learn the hard way.
It's not a car that makes a lot of sense. And in fact, I remember reading. This is like so in college, I read a book called "The Best and the Brightest" about the genius architects of the Vietnam War. By the way, pet peeve: the term "the best and the brightest" is a joke. Like it's meant by David Halberstam. He's saying, look what these idiots led us into, even though they all went to Harvard, blah, blah, blah. So anytime anybody says the best and the brightest, they're using it incorrectly because it's meant as a burn. Anyway.
Okay.
The only thing I remember from the book is that the guy, and I forget which one it was, maybe it was the Secretary of Defense, used to be president of General Motors for LBJ, and he did not understand why anybody made convertibles because they lasted half as long. That's the only thing I remember from that book. But it is a car that doesn't make sense, but is very enjoyable.
No, I mean, some of the best things in life don't make sense, but are enjoyable. You know, I think that's a thread through those things.
Most of them.
Yeah, most of them.
Luxuries that you don't need.
Look, I'm glad that you found something you like. You know, because I feel like do you have time for hobbies though, or are you just because if you're writing 2 books, you got 8 TV shows. I feel like driving around's all you can do.
I don't have a ton. I don't have a ton of time for hobbies. I collect Phillies baseball cards. I collect cartoon art, like original cartoon art.
Mm-hmm.
But these aren't hobbies that
take time.
Right. This is just like lying in bed on eBay
buying
or
shit.
liveauctioneers.com.
Yeah,
right.
Sure.
It's not.
I like buying shit too, Jake. I know exactly what you're talking about.
That's what I'm saying. It's not woodworking.
Right?
It's
sure. You're not in the.
I got to go out to the garage.
I'm almost done with whittling my canoe out of a tree trunk. You're more of like, let's get that Rugrats cell from 1994.
No, I'm not into animation. I mean, it's more like it's
more cartoons. You said
comic strips and stuff.
Okay.
From like the golden era, like
classics.
Yeah.
That's something that is available to buy, and I'm glad that you found that too. It sounds like
Nike Dunks and buying Nike Dunks. These are my hobbies.
Yeah. So, but are you also like a history buff?
Yeah. Sure.
Do you have you because like my dad has read all the presidential like he loves all that shit.
Yeah.
You have to do it for work, but you enjoy it.
I do enjoy it a lot. And actually this is my study at home right now, but my work office where we'll do this next time if you want has
Live.
a collection of posters for losing presidential candidates.
Oh, that's nice. That's
it's
really
just losing candidates.
Okay, so who's the top 3 of those you would say?
Most of them is just Nader.
Yeah, is it like who are we?
No,
I got 17 portraits.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone else has this collection.
This feels exclusive to you.
But it started.
It's a race to the bottom, and you've won.
It started in 2000 when I was on the campaign trail, and I just started collecting the lawn signs of every candidate. And then when the election was over, all of them were losers except for one of them. So then I just hung up all of them except for Bush. And then the best one I have is this giant Al Smith poster. I think that's 1928. It's huge. I have a Strom Thurmond Dixiecrat one. 1948.
Dixiecrat.
Holy
1948.
shit,
I've never heard that term before, and I feel like that's what I am.
No,
I didn't know that. I don't.
No.
Okay, I'm not. Okay. Just want to make sure. Okay.
I just want to explicitly racist party from 1948.
Oh, my bad. It had a nice ring to it.
To me, it sounded like a nice side dish you get at a cookout. But
yeah,
it does.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Somebody hijacked the word Dixie and
See, this is what happens. This is what happens. I can't even use the cups anymore.
Well, look, it happened in the other way from woke, right? Woke used to mean something nice, and now
that's true. It doesn't take long
it used
for a
to mean
word
you
to
had
turn.
a healthy suspicion of the government, and you paid attention to bad things going on.
You were awake. You had been awoken to the suffering of others and the needs of other people, and now it means
that's what the Dixiecrats wanted to do to us, man.
That's what the Dixiecrats.
It was just revenge. Honestly, it was just revenge.
Their superpower is taking those words and just flipping it.
Anyway, I do have a good collection of losing candidates.
That's cool. That's a fun. I feel like those are cheap too because they lost.
No,
oh, they're not.
Oh no,
oh, because they're hard to get.
Yes, exactly. And there's still this one that my white whale is. There's this William Jennings Bryan poster, where he is he's standing astride the octopus of corporate America and oligarchy and whatever, and I haven't been able to get it.
What is it? Because it's hard to find, or because the price?
There aren't that many of them. I don't know how much you guys are collectors of any sort, but during COVID, everything just went through the roof because everybody was just sitting at home, and something that was like $1,000 became $5,000. So do
you sell or just take in?
I leave that to my children after my death. I assume that's what's going to happen to every one of my collections.
I've got this Ross Perot 8x10 in the guest bathroom. It's all mine. Beautiful.
Yeah. I do have a Perot.
It's signed. So it's worth a little more.
I don't think the Perot is signed, but I do have a signed John Anderson, a signed Pat Buchanan. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyway,
but these aren't signatures you got after the fact. These are signatures that came on the poster when you purchased it.
The Pat Buchanan, yes. The John Anderson, no. The John Anderson, I had the poster and then I met him and got him to sign it.
Oh, that's great. I love that.
Sometimes I'll do that. One time I went back in I don't even know, 15, 20 years ago when I worked for ABC News and just did whatever they told me. They would send me on the most random assignments, and it was the 100th anniversary of the Wright brothers' flight in North Carolina. Not Kitty Hawk. It's actually in a place called Kill Devil Hill.
Sure.
We're all told that it's Kitty Hawk, but it's not. It's Kill Devil Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, John Travolta was going to, because he's a pilot, as you must know, was going to be like the master of ceremonies. So I went on eBay and ordered John Travolta's. I was just like looking for any swag I could get him to sign. This is like in the early days of eBay. So it was like you could get stuff relatively cheap and people would get it to you. So I got his album. He put out an LP.
I bet he loved seeing that.
He did?
He did. Okay, he did.
Well, so did you have this all the time? Or whatever. Like, it's not a good Travolta. I'm not an impressionist. Anyway, I'm like, yeah, no, I lied. I apologize. I lied. I was just trying. Yeah, yes, I've had this since it came out.
It's funny that era, that a lot of those kind of movie stars just did albums. It was just like something you kind of did, and I don't understand.
Because you could make money doing it.
You could make money doing it, but it's a strange impulse if you don't have that experience.
I'm trying to think. There were a lot. You're right. I mean, there was Jack. Well, you don't know who any of these people are, but Jack Wagner was a big soap opera star. He had a song.
He did.
Anyway.
There's several.
Patrick Swayze had a song, I believe.
That was
that I do know.
That was a hit.
He's like the wind. I believe it might have been on
like the wind.
She's like the wind. Feel your breath in my face. Your body close to me.
That was a hit. Yeah, that was a smash.
Oh, they're all smashes. Bruce Willis put out 2 albums.
Oh, I didn't know. Have you heard? Okay, so have you heard about? Speaking of Bruce Willis, there's a new trend in Hollywood where you kind of go to a foreign land.
Oh yeah,
and you make sort of like a not red movie, but a movie with like old white guys with guns.
Yeah,
and you pay a Bruce Willis like $10 million.
Yep.
And it's financed by local rich people who want to be in the movie.
Yep.
So they're paying $1 million each to have a cameo. Bruce Willis gets $10 million, and then it goes on VOD, and it's like a whole industry. It's like the Hallmark Channel for old white guys.
I didn't know it was for the cameos. But I do know that there are actors like Bruce Willis is an example of them who did a lot of before his retirement from film. Because of his frontal lobe dementia that he has, and we all, I'm sure, are sympathetic to that. But before that, like, he was doing a ton of movies for like 5 minutes,
Yeah.
ton of money.
So they could put him on the poster in Uzbekistan.
Yes,
Bait and switch.
Yes, and like when you're on Netflix and you're like doing a search,
You see him.
yeah, you're like, what are these movies? I've never heard of these movies. Yeah,
And it's cool because Bruce Willis is actually a legend. Where some of those guys that were doing it, you're like, I'm not.
Steven Seagal.
I'm not clicking on that.
You know those.
Seagal's the OG of it. I think.
Well, I think he moved to Russia. He moved, didn't he?
Shit.
I think he moved to Russia.
He just went to where they like him, kind of thing. Like
I think so. I'm pretty sure.
He knows where they butter his bread.
Is that what
Where they butter his borscht. Well, it's kind of like the actor version of Beyonce going to Saudi Arabia to do a corporate for $10 million under the radar, except everyone can watch it on demand at any moment.
By the way, let me just ask you: have you ever had borscht?
Yeah, I have, and I enjoy it actually.
I had it when I traveled to Ukraine to cover the war, and it was so good.
Yeah.
But I don't know that I would ever order in the United States because there's something about like have you? So this is braggy, but so the vodka in Russia and Ukraine is just not what they serve here. It's just something else. It's a different.
You mean like cocaine in Colombia? It's pure.
I'll take your word for it, but yes.
Okay,
but,
sure,
but,
yeah,
some,
sure.
but something like that.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like I had a mojito in Cuba once, and it was just like, this is not what I.
It's not the same thing.
No, and so
Yeah, I could see that, but there's good borscht can be found in America, but you know it's few and far between. But I like that. It should be that way. The tacos should taste better in Mexico than they do in Denver.
I like that, by the way, as a title for your biography. Good borscht.
Good borscht.
I like that.
Well, where do people? I mean, I don't. When you went, a friend of ours works for the Telegraph in London, and he went to the Ukraine to review a restaurant, which is like recently. Yeah, it was
Like during the war. Okay.
Yeah, it was a really cool. Like,
what city do you know? In Kyiv?
In Kyiv, yeah. And he
Okay.
it was cool, and he met the chefs and did a whole thing. It was a really interesting story. But he was just talking. I was talking to him about it, and he was like, "Yeah, it's just surreal because you hear the siren basically all the time, right?"
Yeah. No, it's crazy. Now I was only in Kyiv for one day. I was in Lviv for most of it. Lviv is much farther away from Russia. But yeah, I was there well, first of all, in both places, it's just nonstop sirens.
Yeah.
But in Kyiv, it's like terrifying.
Yeah, when you do this shit, even though you've been doing it a long time, I feel like it can't get easier, really.
No, it's not. And first of all, they're far less likely to let me go, now that I'm an anchor, than when I was a correspondent. It's just like, I
get out of here.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, they got Tapper. Send somebody else.
Yeah,
we'll get him
whatever,
back.
yeah.
We'll get him back. We'll get him back.
Yeah, no, it's brutal. We went, meaning me and my team, but also Anderson, Cooper, and Aaron Burnett were there, and Wolf Blitzer right after Israel was attacked in October 2023, I guess it was, and like that too. It's just like nonstop missiles coming in, sirens, and then going to sites of just awful. Yeah, war is not fun to cover.
So when you guys go in there, you're going with obviously a team of producers, cameras, et cetera, but you have local people on the ground, you have security, you have the whole thing.
Yeah. No, we're definitely there under more safe circumstances than a lot of other reporters. They take steps to make sure that we're as safe as possible, but still it's risky. I mean, that poor Fox News crew got hit, and a number of them got killed. This is early on in the war, and the correspondent lost his leg. I mean, it's a risky stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so much you can do, right? There's only so much protection, you know what I mean, that you can
100%. Yeah, look, I mean, if you're in a war zone, you're in a war zone. I mean, you try to take as many precautions as you can, but yeah.
I guess nowadays with technology, if we're fighting our wars, with the internet now, and there's not a lot of boots on the ground compared to what it used to be back in the day. Do we need to have these reporters on the ground? Aren't we able to just, tell these same stories with maybe remote footage or something like that?
I think you do need to have reporters on the ground in the same way you need to have them there, like after a hurricane or a typhoon or an earthquake or whatever, just because you need to tell the story of the people that are suffering because of what's going on, because of the wars, without getting into the geopolitics of it all.
Also, the imagery is so powerful. Like someone standing, you know what I mean? Like standing with a fucking helmet on and bombs going off behind them is like, it kind of tells you how serious it is.
Well,
that's the
thing is that I think that the media, the news media, and I understand why we do it, but I think that we show too little of too many things. Like we don't show, I
Mm.
mean, what would be the impact on our politics if people saw what it looked like after a gun massacre in the United States? Like what would the impact be? Would there be, I'm not pushing for gun control, but like if there is, I mean, I think we can all agree that too many people who shouldn't have guns get their hands on them, people who are unstable or whatever. So if there's some sort of way to prevent that, would there be more movement or whatever? I don't know. But like whether it's war or that, or I just think that we don't show enough. That's a personal point of view. And I understand why we don't want to gross out or upset.
Yeah, but there's a level of gross out that's like necessary. You know what I mean? If I can see 400 pictures of newly single Sydney Sweeney every day, I should be able to see something worse that makes me think.
I'm sorry, I didn't. After you said Sydney Sweeney, I didn't hear what you said.
You didn't hear any words. That's fine. No.
No, I totally agree. I mean, like in some, the photographs that win Pulitzer Prizes or Press Foundation Awards and stuff like that are the ones of like a kid in Sudan starving to death, and it's like because because we can hear about it, but like unless you show it, we're a very visual species,
especially now.
Yeah.
I mean, no one reads anything. No offense to an author, but I mean, it's tough to get people to sit down and crack a book.
I agree. I mean, I when I write my books, I know that when I'm writing them, and I try to write them accordingly. I know I'm competing with phones and TV and YouTube and internet and
dope ass podcasts.
And yes.
Well, on that note, have you noticed a spike in demand for audiobooks since you have a familiar and relatable voice? Is that being pushed more so than your written word?
We have this book, Original Sin, about Joe Biden coming out in May, and I just finished the audiobook. And I will say that I co-wrote the book with Alex Thompson from Axios, and they wanted me to do the audiobook because my voice is more familiar, just because I've been on TV for 20 years, and Alex is a print reporter.
That's also some extra scratch for those sneakers.
I don't think
that
I'm getting any more money.
No.
Let
me talk to your agent, Jake. This is crazy. You got to get $5,000.
You should at least be getting scale. I'll get you $1,500 a day, something like that, Jake. Does that sound good to you?
I don't think I got any more money, but
it was in the contract.
They were very quick on that, and that's the 7th book I've written, and but some of the other ones they had actors read some of the other previous books, but maybe now that my voice
got John Hamm? Who are we talking about?
No, like just a Hollywood actor.
Oh, just okay, like an actor.
People
okay,
with
just a regular guy.
Yeah, who are better narrators. But now I guess I don't. Anyway, but I will say that audio is a much bigger part of my life now than it was 5 or 10 years ago. In the same way that YouTube is a much bigger part of my life than it was 5 or 10 years ago. I remember feeling I'm never going to sit through one of these ads on YouTube. And then like all of a sudden I was sitting through the ads.
Then you saw Mr. Beast and you changed your story. I'm not immune. I'm not immune.
Yeah, no, it's the same, but it's the same thing with audio. It's just, what is this? The first podcast I listened to was Serial.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's for my generation. For Gen X, that was probably an entree. And like once you realize the genius of it, you're like, oh, this is great. This is great when I'm sitting in my house. This is great when I'm driving, et cetera, et cetera. So kudos to you guys for,
Did you see that article in the New York Times over the weekend about Gen X creatives and how like the jobs are drying up and how they're having to like find new careers? You obviously it was just interesting because they talked to a guy that I know who's like successfully built this like surf brand and store in Brooklyn, and it was a lot of people who were just like, yeah, I'm 48, 50, my kids are in college, and like I don't know what to do anymore because my job is gone.
I can't be a DJ anymore.
Yeah, literally. Like I can't be a creative director because there's people that will do it for cheaper that are younger and cooler.
That inevitably happens to every field, though, doesn't it?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I mean that's kind of. I mean, I don't think that it's necessarily even like an AI thing. I think it's more just like young people are willing to work for cheaper. And there's a certain point where you want to pay less.
Well, I think it's that, but also like I there's some big debate going on social media right now about somebody that the musical guest walked out of SNL before,
Jake, we just talked about this.
Is that right?
Yeah, right before.
So both of the names, I know that the host is, she just won an Academy Award for her role in Anora.
Mikey Madison.
Madison.
Anora.
Yeah.
But like, you guys are so you're what? So you're millennials, is that right?
Unfortunately, we are millennials.
Okay.
I identify as
elder millennials.
I identify as Gen X. Gen X is my pronouns because I like the culture more. But technically,
I'm thoroughly Gen X. I was assigned the Ethan Hawke goatee at age 22, the whole thing. So,
I got the standard issue.
Yeah. So just right out of the I could do Gen X jokes, but I don't want them to go. They'd be really under your head, not over your head. But in any case, I think the point is, like, I don't know what the hell anybody's talking about younger than me. Like, and like my staff is almost exclusively people younger than me. I have one writer who's a little bit older, and my executive producer is pretty much my age, maybe a year older. But other than that, everyone's much younger. None of my pop culture references make any sense. None of them are funny. They don't know who Jack Klugman is. I mean, like, there's just like a million things.
No, you said pop culture.
By the way, so I have a college reunion every year. And one of my friends who's coming to it, we came up with this idea of, and see, this is something I don't even know that will make any sense to any of your listeners, but we were going to come up with a contest. Try to name as many people who you think guest starred on the Love Boat as possible.
That's not going to work here.
That's not going to work.
That's not going to work here.
But anyway, that's my point. Is like, thank God my show is just the news, and I can tell like what the news is, and I have good news judgment. And thank God that my job is not what is everybody talking about today in pop culture. Although I do have younger people who can tell me, no, we should do a segment today about the torpedo bat, on MLB. And I'm like, great, let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
That I knew.
Well, it's a good thing that we're talking because we're sort of the inverse of you. We have no real news anchor experience,
we got
any
nothing.
Geopolitical knowledge whatsoever. But in terms of pop culture, for people of our age, we're able to really swim in a lot of waters. And we're in that magic age where we can translate to the old people what the young people are doing and translate to the old, vice versa.
And enjoy it while you can. Enjoy it while the water's
we're
warm.
creeping.
But it's a full-time job paying attention to all this horse shit in the on Twitter.
I'm exhausted.
You know what I mean?
I'm exhausted.
Is the horse shit what you cover or what I cover? I'm not sure.
Well, I think a bit of both, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that horse shit is...
Yeah, mostly, I mean, it's debatable on what is important nowadays to all of us, you know what I mean?
But also, your demo, young men, or youngish men, younger than me men, is... especially Gen Z, like is fascinating people in politics because
it's the crisis of masculinity, and we're on the front lines. We're like you, and we're like you in the Ukraine when it comes to that.
So, and the sirens are going off, and you're just in the hotel eating borscht.
The sirens are going off, and all I can hear is Joe Rogan somehow. Still, it's unbelievable the power of that guy. It's unbelievable.
But it is really fascinating, and I have so my son is 15. And I understand why Democrats are struggling so much because they just don't speak any language that my son speaks. Mm-hmm. My son games. He plays football. He likes police. He is just
the band.
Not the band, the institution.
No, not the band. I don't think he knows what the band is.
My
I don't
son
think he has any
likes
idea who
police.
Sting or, no, police, cops. He likes cops, not the TV show.
Like he thinks they're cool. Like I don't understand. Like what about a cop?
He said he likes the military. He likes police. I don't know.
Whoa.
How does he feel about minorities?
He's pro. But I mean, I think the thing is also, but this might be something because I guess he's Gen Z. If he's 15,
I think he might.
Maybe that's alpha. Maybe
that might be even younger.
So whatever he is. That stuff isn't even just discussed as much as it was when I was a kid.
Right.
Like,
no, definitely not.
His friend group is mixed, and like they don't even give each other shit for it or anything like that. I mean, it's just
right. They're
I see what you mean. Yeah, there's no. But I mean, is he pretty like? Does he think you're cool, or does he think you're a freak on TV?
No, I mean, I don't think he thinks I'm cool. I think he thinks I'm a good dad. Which is all I can.
We'll
ask
take
for.
it. We'll take it.
We'll take it. By the way, speaking of which, my daughter just got me for April Fool's. She just called me, and I could actually
not the old
pregnant,
not the old pregnancy joke.
No. I'll play it for you because she recorded it because she thought it was so funny.
How long gone world exclusive?
Bad. Something happened. Something really bad happened. I got caught using ChatGPT in class, and I think I'm gonna get suspended, like, on my record.
Why did you use ChatGPT? I have told you 1,000.
Bro, that is the most current April Fool's joke I could have possibly thought of.
Yeah.
Your college.
She's so smart. She's so fucking smart. She knew
Chip off the old block.
what would bother me the most.
Yeah.
Let me think. What is the thing that Dad has been telling me for 5 years? Do not do this. I would rather you fail than you cheat using ChatGPT or cheated.
I would rather you get pregnant and move to Thailand than ever use AI technology.
AI technology is too far.
Somebody's watching White Lotus.
Of course. Ripe on the brain. I'm the Sam Rockwell. He's the Walton Goggins.
Is that, by the way, do you guys have predictions on who's, I assume
I haven't
next
watched
episode's
it.
the last episode. Oh, you haven't watched?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, next episode's the last episode.
So do you have a prediction who the dead body in the Serenity pool is?
I mean, I want the Duke dad to just get it over with. I can't take another episode of him almost killing
Have you
himself.
seen how much Duke University's freaking out about the fact that
Yeah, they're not happy. I saw that yesterday. They're
Let
not
it
happy.
go.
But him wearing that Duke, it's the perfect Duke shirt as well for like a rich 60-year-old guy from the South to have. The
Duke's-
gun to his head. It's such a great
Duke's
image.
been through it. Between the lacrosse team and fucking White Lotus,
What they've been
Duke's
doing
had
to
a
my
tough
heels
time.
over the years, that's the least they can.
Oh, did you go to Chapel Hill?
No.
No.
Neither of us went to college. He didn't even graduate
okay.
high school. We're uneducated. Don't apologize. We're awesome.
My mom went to Chapel Hill. That's why.
I have some friends who are from North Carolina, so I've by default I've learned that
You gotta love the
supporting
hills.
Duke is bad.
Yeah, the Duke is the devil. But anyway, by the way,
Duke is the devil.
So who is?
So I think Guy Talk is going to have to prove that he is a man in order to win over Lisa from Blackpink, and I think he's going to accidentally shoot someone. And
Hold on. Lisa from Blackpink is in White Lotus. I genuinely did not know this. Wow.
She plays like a young girl that works at the hotel.
I like the bucktooth chick though. I think she's cool. The one that, you know what I'm talking about. I don't know what her role is.
Talking about
but-
Jenna?
No. The one in the show that's got the crazy
the one that's
teeth.
dating Walt Goggins.
Oh, she's amazing.
She's
she doesn't
great.
even have to say a word. Just her facial expressions are.
She's really
are
good.
perfect.
It's a really.
What do
great
you think
cast.
of the Goggins sons? Because I think Goggins is kind of one of our between
Goggins-sons?
Righteous Gemstones and this. I feel like he's kind of, and he looks so insane that it's almost unbelievable how prolific
Did
he
you
is.
guys ever watch Justified? The show Justified.
No, I
Go back
That
and
was
watch it.
that was his first.
Timothy Oliphant.
Okay.
And he is Timothy Oliphant is a sheriff in Kentucky or a sheriff's deputy or something, and he is or U.S. Marshal, whatever. And he is his nemesis, and he's fantastic. They're both fantastic in it.
Early
Anyway,
Goggins.
my prediction is, and I'm sure I'll be wrong, but the guy who maybe this is who you were talking about, but the guy who works at the hotel who is a Buddhist and peaceful, and he just went on the date with the girl, and she's unimpressed with his pacifism.
Yeah.
I think he will prove himself, and he'll end up dead or something.
So he's got the gun, but we learned at the shooting range that he's a pretty good shot though.
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, I
They've
think they
done a good
painted-
job of creating a lead up to a finale where there's like 11,000 unanswered questions and none of them
Look,
exist.
in the first two seasons, they killed off two huge characters. I mean, like both
Yeah.
times. It's not. Have you not watched any White Lotus?
Nope, no interest. I
Really?
honestly,
He's more of a below deck kind of guy.
Yeah, I like Bravo, but also sometimes things, because like we were talking about earlier, because we have to pay attention so much to everything that's going on. Sometimes with shows like that, they hit a fever pitch where I feel like I've seen it because I've had to see it so much online that I don't even think I need to. Like I forget to watch it. Like I don't even care.
I would at least watch the scene with
well, I've seen that. That shit's
Goggins
amazing.
and Sam Rockwell.
That shit's amazing. Yeah,
Okay.
I saw somebody sent me that. Somebody sent me that.
That's,
But I mean,
watching that. I was like watching the episode of The Last of Us when with Nick Offerman and actually the same actor from the first season of White Lotus, the gay couple episode of The Last of Us. I was just like, oh
I know
wow,
what you're talking about.
this is going to win Emmys in a year. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I don't know, man. There's only so much I can take.
I hear you.
And I don't know how. Do you watch a lot? I mean, it sounds like you watch a lot of TV.
I watch some. I can't come home and watch the news just because it's such a part of my life. I need to, unless there's like something huge breaking. But like generally speaking, my wife and I find a show and we ride it. So right now we're watching The Residence on Netflix. It's a Shonda Rhimes joint. There's a murder of a butler in the residence of the White House.
Oh, wow. It's got everything. Murder, White House.
Yeah.
I was looking up Mike White because I heard he had a show called Pasadena that he made in like 2001. It was on for like one season.
Was it good?
Never knew that.
Apparently it's awesome. It's impossible to find. Like we were looking for it yesterday because we had obviously hours to kill at the airport, and it's like not streaming anywhere. It's like kind of like erased from the internet, but apparently it's great.
That's crazy. How would HBO have? I'll have to send a note to.
Well, this was before. Well, this is what I'm saying though.
But I'm just saying, Mike, he has to deal with. Well, maybe he doesn't own the rights.
Oh, yeah, he probably.
Have you seen Detroiters?
No.
Yeah.
Do you like I Think You Should Leave? Do you like the show I Think You Should Leave? Have you seen
I
that?
I haven't seen that either.
What?
Nah.
You haven't seen I Think You Should Leave?
No.
Oh, man.
Not for me, man. I mean, look, have you seen every season of Vanderpump Rules? Probably not.
I have not seen even 1 second of Vanderpump Rules.
Well, I'm looking up this Pasadena show. It premiered September 2001.
So maybe that's
Great timing.
On Fox.
Great timing.
Great timing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was like, but I just think that
He's a genius, though, Mike White.
yeah, he's awesome. I
Diane
really like
Keaton
that.
directed the pilot episode. Jeez Louise.
What?
This is
Oh
crazy.
wow, that is crazy. Well, look, I put you guys onto something. I've never even seen it. So
I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna try to get people.
I
to-
think you can
to
stream
put
it.
on
I think you
streaming.
might be able to stream it illegally. I would never recommend.
Maybe you
do
could
that.
find a signed collector's copy of the DVD on eBay or something like that.
That's what I'm. Yeah, that's what
Put
I
out
did.
a
You just,
couple
have to, you just
filters.
have to subscribe to like one of these series like Tubi. Or,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, that's what I said to my
Tubi,
wife yesterday in
Mubi.
the airport. I was like,
Gooby.
I didn't think there was any show that wasn't on streaming at this point. Like, it's hard to imagine that.
Well, all the entire contents of Quibi are gone.
Well, that's true, and I know that hurt you personally. I know you had a few pilots in the works over there.
I liked Quibi.
no,
I-
Jay,
It was the worst timed idea, but a great idea of shows in 12-minute chunks. It's a great idea, and it just happened to launch during COVID when everybody was home and had nothing but time to watch TV.
I see.
So why did you think 12 minutes was a good idea?
Because it's like a commute. It's like a metro or just like a bathroom break or
Yeah.
whatever.
Sure.
I mean, with podcasts, I would say most people don't listen to things in one sitting. I don't know. I mean, Jason, maybe you would disagree.
Yeah, it's very often I'll pause when I arrive at my destination and revisit it on the way. Yeah.
And then pick it back up.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. But 12 minutes is, yeah. I mean, look, I'm sorry I didn't get any Tubi money. I'll say that.
Quibi.
Well, I mean, not Quibi. I'm sorry. I'm bummed I didn't get any Quibi money because a lot of people did.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a spectacularly poorly timed. Although, I mean, I don't know who knew about the COVID pandemic about the hip.
I want to
Fauci,
talk to you a little
he
bit
knew.
about this Anna Delvey stuff because I'm
Oh
over,
yeah,
I'm
that's
over.
the next episode of United States of Scandal.
I know your producer told me this.
Available on Max.
I'm sick of Anna Delvey. Are you sick of her after doing this, or or what is your take on it?
I'm not sick of her because I do find her fascinating because I find her completely unrepentant.
That is cool. I like that as as like a trait in a person that's committed a crime.
And this is the second time I interviewed her, and the first time I wasn't particularly kind. And she sat down with me again. And now at the time she sat down with me, she was on Dancing with the Stars, and she had not been cut yet. So maybe she was promoting
Spirits
that.
were high. Spirits were
Spoiler
high.
alert.
I think that happened like
I'm
six,
halfway through that
I think
sentence,
that
man.
happened
Jesus
like
fuck.
6 months ago.
God damn it!
But I think she's interesting as a cultural phenomenon. I mean, why was she such a huge story? Why was it such a why were people so interested in her? I mean, the larceny was relatively small, really. It was like
Yeah, for sure.
$250,000.
I think honestly,
She's not the first scammer who's done this, so why her of all people?
Yeah.
I think there's like a New Yorkness to it that people really gravitate towards. Like when something happens like downtown New York, it's more newsworthy for whatever reason, I think.
Oh,
Still.
sure. Weather is a great
Yeah.
example of that. They have a rainstorm. It leads all three, ABC, NBC, CBS nightly news broadcasts, but like a typhoon just carries Idaho away, and it's a tell at the end of the show.
It's buried in the You're right though, but I think that has a lot, and I also think that her, she was like playing it up. She was doing a lot of stuff. I mean, she She was gonna. I mean, I'm sure at one point she was pitched to come on this podcast. I'm sure. She was like making the rounds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but not only that, she also. I think one of the things that you can't. First of all, there was that. I guess it was New York Magazine story or it was either New York or Vanity Fair about her.
Yeah,
that like it was just a really well told story by Jessica Pressler, and then Shonda did her show. Shonda Rhimes did her show, being Anna or whatever it's called, and
that was fun to watch.
it was fun to watch.
It was really good. It had Julia Gardner from Ozark, and she was just. It was a really good show, and it was just stunning to watch this bizarre story play out.
Yeah, it was kind of like that movie The Room, when everyone was like, "This is some bullshit," but like I can't stop watching it. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, didn't Brie Larson won a...
Yeah, she won like an Oscar for it.
Yeah, she won an Oscar for that. I haven't seen it, but I know that.
Was that not The Room, not that one.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. You're talking
it's
about
like a '90s cult
awful
film.
movie, and then Franco played.
Yeah, the
guy.
Francos redid it. Yeah, but basically,
yes.
Yeah, it's from 2000. I don't know, a long time ago.
I was.
It was
told
good.
about it
No, the
before.
movie was good. It was.
But
good.
I mean the original, where it's like I can't, just like the sound of Delvey's voice and the sound of the guy's voice, Johnny Wiseau from The Room.
Right.
You're just like, this is bad. I hate this, but I can't stop. Like, because like there's nobody else in the world who talks like this and has these mannerisms. You just can't stop looking at this freak. You know what I mean?
There is some,
and you could ride that wave, because that's not something you could learn or teach. It's just in you.
I
agree.
How badly do you think she wants to be famous, though?
Well, I mean, I think she is famous.
Yes, but I think there's being famous and wanting to be famous.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes. I think that the money is a bigger part of it than. I think she wants wealth more than I think she wants wealth and to be important more than she wants to be famous. I think if somebody had given her the choice between what she is now and lots of money and completely anonymous, but like connected in society, she would have taken that. But she didn't. That's just not the options in front of her. So now she's she's selling her art. I mean, have you seen that? She's obvious birthday coming up.
What kind of art are we talking about, Jake? It's painting,
exactly
sculpture.
Exactly. No, it's drawings.
Okay, some drawings on paper.
I think it started with the kind of equipment that you could get kind of art supplies you could get in prison. Yes. Yes.
That's how
she might get deported, by the way.
Style pieces.
Oh, she might really?
She might get deported. There's some talk of her. She's not an American citizen, obviously, and there are questions about her immigration. She was in prison for immigration. I think at first of immigration.
Yeah, but you know what? She deserves to stay because her crimes are so distinctly American. We have to keep that pure. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she was breaking our rules.
Yeah.
She probably wants a little attention, and then she'll go on Fox and praise President Trump, and then she'll be pardoned.
Mm-hmm. The Kodak Black method.
Exactly. How long do you spend with someone like that? Like when you're doing the show? Like how much time are you with her?
An hour or two, just taping
just a regular sit down interview.
Regular sit down interview. Yeah.
Okay, you're not hanging out to kind of get the vibe and then doing the interview.
Well, remember, it's the second time I met her, so I had kind of done that before because we had taped something before.
You're not shadowing her for 8 weeks.
No, I don't have the time to do that anyway. But even if I did.
Nobody does.
No, I think it was just really about the interview.
It's not a Rolling Stone cover story in 2003.
Oh my God, no! But it's also the United States scandal it's a story. Each one is an individual story, and this one is we have to tell the story of what she did, and so it's not just interviews with her; it's interviews with her associates, victims, et cetera, people
who wrote stories about her for magazines and newspapers.
Yeah, Pressler's in it. Yeah, but I think one of the things that's fun about the series is having the distance from the scandal, so everything that happened and all the nuances, and you have the perspective of the oldest of all the scandals we did this season. The oldest one is Abscam, which aired a couple weeks ago, and that was really fascinating too because
I don't know what that is, but do you have a six pack? Is that what you're saying?
Abscam is. Do you ever see American Hustle with?
Oh yeah.
So it's that. It's the FBI uses a con man to try to bribe members of Congress. And a lot of them take the bribes. And it's the first time, it's like late 70s. So it's the first time that videotape is used. And so all these members of Congress go to jail. But what was interesting about it is because we had the perspective of it really was entrapment. I mean, like, it was complete
Yeah.
and utter entrapment. None of these guys were on the radar of anybody, had done nothing wrong. I mean, I'm not singing their praises. They took bribes, most of them, but
I'm not above it. I'm not above it.
It was a sting operation.
How much does a congressman make, though? You know what I mean? A couple $100,000?
oh, at the time, it must have been like they probably must, I might in the late 70s, they probably made like 37,000, 47,000 a year.
Yeah, and you know how much it
Adjust
costs
for
to live in
inflation.
D.C. What are these guys supposed to do? You know what I mean? They need to evoke themselves. Whatever the evoke of the time was.
I'm not sharing your position on any of this, but I am saying it was definitely entrapment. It was definitely.
Yeah,
So,
no, it is.
So
yeah, yeah.
is Delvey like the new, as new of a story as you'll go?
That is the most recent story that we've done. And these shows are definitely dependent on who can we book. So this season we did Enron. We still have Jack Abramoff and the Abramoff scandal from the Bush years, and Anna Delvey. What else did we do? We did Clarence Thomas. So we sat down with Anita Hill, and there are a bunch. But I mean, what's interesting is just because generally speaking, you guys and I are the same in the sense that when I'm covering news and you're covering stuff in pop culture and sports, etc., you're covering it as it's happening and trying to make sense of it and learning what you can, and there's drips and everyday new information and this and that. But you get the perspective of the United States scandal, which is like, now we kind of know everything, and let's take a look. And so one of the things about Delvey is, I mean, I think she was obviously a crook and everything, but again, her crimes are relatively small compared to like what the pharmaceutical industry, or the health insurance industry, et cetera, have been accused of doing. So, I mean, there is that perspective too. I think you should watch it. That's what I'm saying. I think you should watch it.
I watched the Valerie Plame episode.
Oh, that was last year. Yeah, last season.
What I was gathering from it as somebody who is a professional podcaster was you can kind of see the podcast style or structure influence on this show. I mean, it sounds dumb to say, your documentary television show is like a video version of a podcast, but it kind of has some of that DNA that's been picked up from that style of podcast that's been popularized in the last few years in a way that 100%. I enjoyed.
100%. I think podcasting has been an influence in a good way on documentaries and long form broadcast journalism. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the original, I guess, concept or the idea in my mind of a documentary is like, I'm going to watch this thing that's not going to be as entertaining, but the trade-off is I will feel good about learning about things.
Yeah.
And then I really think in the last few years, we've realized that that's, it's a trade-off that we like in the style of a gluten-free pasta or something like that. Like, this works for me in terms of like entertainment level and virtuosity going on. And I think it's getting to a place where documentaries are like actually like truly entertaining and can be cut in a way that you're not just like looking at your watch watching a Kenny Burns doc.
You should never, if you do something that feels like broccoli, people are going to change the channel. There's just too many options. They're just, or turn it off, or just, you're competing with their phone anyway, right? I mean, people are sitting in front of their TVs with their phones. So you gotta, storytelling is paramount. I think that's one of the parts of podcasting that has become important for long form TV journalism is that lesson of like this story and whenever possible, although obviously you need to be allegiant to the facts, but having an arc, having a 3-act structure, all of that.
Yeah, I noticed also in the title, like the beginning of the show, you're sort of breaking down what's going to happen, and you're in a bar, a DC style kind of bar where you're going to sit next to a politician and catch a little gossip or something like that, and you've got a martini in your hand, which is very DC. Everyone is a cool alcoholic there. I want to know what your martini is.
So I am a vodka martini with a twist.
Me too.
Yeah, and the vodka. The most important part is that it just be ice cold. Ice cold.
Do you do the bottle in the freezer though?
Yes. Yes.
I don't do that. To me, it changes the viscosity to a level that I dislike.
I'll tell you something though. I think that vodka makes me mean in a way that bourbon doesn't. Does that make any sense?
Well,
is it possible?
It would make sense if you said the opposite, because it's usually the other way around. Like brown alcohols are a little more violent and clears are a little more fun.
Well, then I have the opposite chemistry. I think I find myself being a little nastier when I have vodka.
Okay, so the bullet bourbon on rocks. You're all smiles. You're a teddy
Yeah.
bear. You're a golden retriever, just having fun.
Yeah.
You hit the Stoli,
Yeah.
and then you start calling people negative words. Perhaps you start.
I have some things I need to get off my chest.
I need to get some things off my damn chest.
Yeah.
Hand me another one.
Okay,
But I do like a Stoli martini.
Mhm.
That was when I learned
that's
about
very Gen X of you
martinis.
to like the Stoli martini.
Yeah, I learned about martinis. It was I don't like a dirty martini, but
No.
I like a couple olives maybe. That's what I had, Stoli martini.
Yeah, to me, a martini, it should taste like burning, and that's the whole point of it.
Yeah, I
That's
agree.
the only flavor profile that should exist.
Although I do say I think a martini is a summer drink. I tend to think of it as a summer drink.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, you don't want to have an extra cold thing while you're in clattering winter, you know?
But when I was young, when I was like in my 20s, I would just order straight vodka. I mean, forget the vermouth.
That's cool.
Well, I think that's cutting to the chase in a young man's way. You know, I mean,
Right.
it's going to get you to the same place, just a little quicker.
Vodka, vermouth, olive.
Yeah, yeah. For the people at home, I could barely see his finger move there
On the
when he was
vermouth.
showing
Yeah,
us
sorry about that.
the
I forgot
pour
this
size.
is an audio.
Before we wrap up, though, I wanted to also, I know guys like you have to devour newspapers or news.
Yes.
So in the morning, how many newspapers do you read?
I mean, I just tear through the Washington Post, the Wall Street Journal, and the New York Times. They're not
Okay.
physical copies on
iPad?
digital. Yeah, but I also subscribe to a ton of other papers like the LA Times, the Philadelphia Inquirer, Miami Herald, Minneapolis Star Tribune, and they send email versions of the paper, and I'll see what they're highlighting and get a lot of different news story ideas because I think it's important to get. I don't want the show to just have news from Washington and New York.
Yeah.
I want it to be from all over the country. Sometimes it's tough. It's in the Trump era. It's tough because there's so much is going on here. There's so much. Him with his fire hose of information and news that he's providing. So there's a lot to cover.
He is blanketing Washington.
There's
with
no
news.
time to worry about what's going on in Denver right now when Trump is in office. All hands on deck.
Well, I mean, as much as we can, but I always say, as much as we can bring this story. Like the stories that he is affecting wherever they are hitting.
Yeah, I see
So
what you're
like
saying.
like if people are being arrested or deported or whatever in Denver,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
let's bring the story out as much as possible. I have to say, you guys need to have me and my co-author Alex back when our Biden book comes out in May because I think you're going to, even though you're not political guys,
We can do an hour on Sleepy Joe, no problem. You tell us when and
I
where.
think you will find it. I think you will find it a quick and shocking read.
I will say that whole storyline was pretty entertaining. Like I'm interested
Well, can
in
you
that.
give us a tidbit about what might be shocking?
I will just tell you this. I just did the audiobook and I wrote the book. I co-wrote the book with Alex. And even though I had reported it and I had edited the book and we'd gone over it several times, still I would read a chapter and then I'd say, holy fuck, I still can't believe that happened. Because this is all the stuff that
Like,
was
who
going
wrote this shit? This is a crazy story.
I know.
Man, they
No,
killed this,
I'm not
bro. They
praising
really
my
did that.
reporting and I'm not praising my writing. I just can't believe this shit happened. I still can't fucking
Yeah.
believe it happened.
Okay, can you give me one little sliver?
I can't.
Okay.
That's fine. He can't
Okay.
remember, Jason. He's already moved on to another book.
I'm
And
old.
these are
I'm old.
this is all stuff that has been already reported, and we
no,
just
it's stuff. No, it's stuff that has not been reported.
Nah, he
It's
held
stuff-
some. He held some back. He said,
No, it's stuff I didn't learn until after the
Oh, I
election. When
thought-
all of a sudden, like 99.5% of the book was reported after the election. After the election, no, I didn't know any of this stuff, and because after the election was over, then people felt like, okay, now I can talk.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, I see
And
what you're
even
saying.
then, they
Right.
wouldn't talk on the record. They would tell us stuff on background or whatever. But still, just like the stuff that we were told.
So you
by-
cranked this out quick. That's impressive.
Alex and I spent November, December, January writing it, and then February and a little bit of March.
That's the thing
editing
with
it.
these, but it has to be. I mean, if it didn't, it has to come
Yeah.
out as soon as possible. I mean,
Well,
that's
I
just
don't.
like,
Yeah, I mean, we wanted it out there, and we wanted it out now while people still care.
when does it?
Yeah.
It comes out in May. You said.
May 20th.
All right,
May
cool.
20th.
All right, and the show.
We'll reach out. And
yeah, let's do it. And
Get on that week.
Jake, if you're around, we're probably going to do a show in DC. So,
Oh, when?
Sometime during the summer. We would love to
Oh, great.
have you
I'd love to
have
come.
you join us on stage.
Oh, 100%.
Chop
That's
it up.
Great.
All right, cool. We'll holler at you. And thank you for joining us today. It was a pleasure.
Oh, so much fun.
Thanks, Jake.
Thank you so much.
All right, later, bro.
Why me easy like Sunday.